Hi guys, welcome to the tutorial video of the Blackmoor Tides demo. I'll put a link in the description of that demo video, which kind of showed off what this project does. But now let's talk about how we did some of that stuff. And some of that stuff that we're doing involve things that we learned in my previous videos, like Fall of Arcana and the Artemis demos. I'm going to put those links in there too, and I suggest you watch them if you don't already know some of those basic things. But I'll try to do my best to make sure you guys are all on the same page here. So let's see what we have. So let's start out with this intro loop. Let's just play this intro loop for a second. Alright, and this loops seamlessly, and we're going to be sticking to the grid. So it's important you create the tempo marker, and again, you right click in this area, the black area, and you add tempo marker, and I know this is 135. And remember, when you add new stuff, you can move it down, expand this, and it actually matters which ones are on top. They'll have priority over the ones on the bottom. So if there's one conflicting transition region, and they're kind of in the same place in the knob, it'll actually pick the one that's on top first. It has priority over that one. So that actually matters. So let's actually start a new event here. This will be kind of tricky. Blackmoor tutorial. And what did we start out with? With the tempo marker of 135, I think it was. And we're, like I said, we're going to be doing the snapping to the grid. And what we're going to do here is find the loops. I can't, well, like I said, you can drag these in if you just want to use them again. But I'm going to start from the beginning and load some new ones from scratch. Let's see if I can find them. All right, Blackmoor Tides loop. We're looking for the short loop. All right, here's the intro. We're going to drag that in here. Sorry, it's playing in the assets. All right, so let's close this. Let's play this by itself. All right, so this track stopped, and you know how to make the loop region. We're going to right click on this and make a new loop region, and it covered that, so we can drag that down. Now it's going to loop seamlessly. All right, so let's add a second loop for it to jump to. Maybe something a little bit different. Let's do this one here. This is a little bit different. All right, that's a little bit different. Has higher strings. There's more percussion going on. So let's make a loop region there. And nothing's happening. And let's add a second layer, because this is what we're going to do here. So check this out. There's no transition yet, so we're going to add a transition region. Oh no, but look at this. We forgot to put the markers, so we can actually make a marker. Let's call this one loop 1. And then let's call this one loop 2. This can go up here if you want it to. And let's add a transition region back to loop 1. And this one doesn't have a destination, so let's make it go to loop 2. Great. Well, now if we play this, it's just going to jump to it because we didn't add the knob that controls it. So we're going to go ahead and do transition. And we're going to set the parameter to control this. And we can set when it will actually transition. Is it going to be on the beat, on the quarter note, or on the half note? Let's just stick with the half note for now. So in order for this to transition, the knob has to be all the way at the end in this parameter within this area. And then for this one, let's make it the same. Every half note, set the transition, and it'll be when the knob is all the way at the bottom. So let's see if this worked. Let's start it here at the beginning. Okay, so that worked pretty well. Let's see if it'll go back. Alright, so that worked. Let's see what else we can do here. We can have the version of that loop, that same, let's say this loop right here. Sorry. I do have a version without the higher strings and without all the crazy percussion, so we're going to put that on here. But we only want one of these to be playing, so we're going to do the crossfading technique here. So let's call this one loop intensity. So one is more intense than the other. I think the section 2A is less intense than section 2B. So the first one we're going to hear is that first one is 2A, the one that's on top here. So let's actually go into that. Let's add an automation to audio 1. Actually, wait. We should do this in its own separate thing, because this has its own thing. This has its own audio track. So let's make it like this. Let's put it in these so it doesn't bother this one at all. So let's remove the automation. So the automation will be an audio 2 and audio 3. We should probably rename these. Let's say this is the this is loop 1. Sorry, loop 1. This is loop 2. This is loop 2A. Loop 2B. Cool. Now let's add the automation by right-clicking and automation here. We're going to add these. So when this is all the way at the bottom, this one is going to be heard. So let's put that at 0 dB. And then when it's all the way here, this one's going to be heard. So let's put that up there. And we pretty much are just going to have them crossfade like this. But we kind of we don't want it to dip in volume. So if we play this, you're going to notice there's sort of a dip when we transition. See, there's a dip in the volume. So we kind of have to curve this a bit more. Alright, there's not really a dip, but you do notice that it's slightly more intense than the first loop. Great, and this knob controls the transition, just like we did earlier. So now you're asking, how did I make it say if it's losing or winning? Well, we have to add that losing and winning sound. Let's see if we can find that. I think I have it in cues. And I think it's this one, evil. And then there's heroic. Let's just do the lose one for now. This can go up here, and this doesn't really have to, it doesn't have to be in time or anything. But it's not going to have a loop region, but it's still going to have a marker. Definitely need the marker, not tempo. Okay, marker. There we go. Right at the beginning. And this is win. No, this is lose. Sorry, lose. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do the winning one too to show you guys how that can work. And this is win. Now, when this plays, it's not going to go back. It's pretty much over, and the game has to reset everything. So what we're going to do is add a sustain point. That means it's going to play all the way till the end of that and stop everything. So this is where the project ends, and you need to reset. So now let's make a... So how do we get the game to tell when to play these? We have to add a transition to win. And a transition to lose. We can copy these later, but first let's make them. So this will just automatically go to lose or win. Well, see, it's telling it to go to lose and win at the same time, but since this one is on top, the win has priority. But we want to be able to control this, so let's make a knob here. Let's call this lose, win. And what we're going to do is, so when this knob is all the way to the left, it's going to be lose music. So let's actually turn this, push plus where it says logic, and we're going to link it to the lose win. So now when it's, this is the lose one. So remember, this one's going to be all the way to the left, and then the lose knob, let's connect it to that knob all the way to the right. So when this moves all the way to the right, it's going to trigger the win. Now, instead of, jumping on the beat, so let's go look at that again. If we have this play, and we're going to transition back to the first loop. Sorry, that's set all the way there. Okay. When I jump to this loop number 1, it's going to wait to transition until it's on the exact half note. See how when I changed it to it, it didn't jump right away. It waited till the half note. So watch me turn the knob down and see where it actually changes. That makes it a little bit more seamless. Instead of jumping right away, if I turn that off, it'll just jump right away whenever I turn the knob. It could be off beat, it could be on beat, but we want to make sure it's on beat. But let me show you what happens when it's off beat. Okay, well that time it kind of worked. Let's see if we can do it a little bit off beat. Sorry. Yeah, see, it's kind of finicky. It wasn't exactly on beat. It might throw the player off, and you might lose that sort of immersion you had in your game. So let's turn that back on to every half note. So now, win and lose can't happen in the first loop here. So let's watch. So I'm playing with the lose and win knob, and it's not actually controlling anything because it doesn't have these transition regions. So let's actually copy this, paste it, put it in here. Hello, come on. And let's copy this one, paste it in there. And now this will have the capability of having win and lose. So let's do lose first. And that'll play all the way till the end, and the game will reset the audio engine. So let's try winning now. Let's put this back in the middle where it's nothing. And why did it do that? To lose. Okay. Let's go to the win. Let's do that one more time. Let's put this back in the middle and reset it. So you can see here when I went all the way to the end, this activated this logic to go to the win. So this says go to win, it'll go to that marker. Now let's go on to that crazy filtering underwater effect that I did. So I have this track. Let me see if I can find it. It's this underwater loop. Alright guys, sorry, I had to go find it. Okay, so I have this underwater loop that will work under these loops here. So let's listen to it. So we're going to give this its own audio track. So now we could do the crossfading technique, having this crossfade underwater and not underwater. So I'm going to put these under this, both of these. But when we play this, it's going to play both. Sorry. We don't want that. But I guess it is a good way to make sure this loop, is similar to this one enough so it doesn't kind of throw you off. So now what we're going to do is create a knob for underwater. So this is what happens when you jump off the boat and you jump into the water. And it can go back the other way. You get out of the water and back onto the boat. Now we're not going to automate the volume. That would be a little bit boring. We could do that, but I prefer to do this. So let's add this effect called the low pass filter. So let me see what this, let's mute this for a second first. Let's play with the filter. So that's what that does. So when it's all the way up here, it's totally clear, you can't tell, and when it's all the way at the bottom, pretty much mutes the entire track. Technically it's not, it's just really low, but we can't hear it. So pretty much it's muted the track. So what we're going to do here for the underwater knob is have it when it's all the way to the left, you're going to hear all the music. Everything's clear. The underwater music doesn't come in until the very end. So we're going to add automation to the cutoff filter. So, but we want to apply this to all the tracks. So we're actually going to add it to all these first. Low pass filter, low pass filter. And the underwater is not going to use a low pass filter unless we wanted to have that muffled sound. Let's actually put it on because we might want to have it on anyways, but it's not going to be part of the automation. So anyways, so the first part here, we're going to make sure, let's see if this plays. So the automation is going to start at the very top. And then it's going to fade out till the end. Let's curve this a little bit, and let's do this for all of these. Curve it the same way. Same thing here. Oops. That's volume. Sorry. All right. This was actually volume, that's my bad. Low pass cutoff. All right, so now we have low pass cutoff automation. And remember, this is muted. So let's see if this actually worked. Alright, that works great. But now, if we have this on, it's playing still. You don't actually want to hear this till all the other instruments fade out. So let's put an automation on the volume. So it's totally 0 here, and it comes into 0 dB right here at the end. But let's curve it a little bit more. So let's see what happens now. That's a little bit too strong. Let's make it less. All right, let's listen for the filter filtering out the main loop and the volume coming in on the underwater loop. So now we're underwater, and we can go back up onto the ship. Jumping in the water, going back out. Now let's put it here. Let's see what we can do to make this sound more like underwater using the effects built into FMod. Maybe you can add some reverb to that. There we go. So I think that works pretty well. Yeah, this works really well. So instead of just crossfading this in, we're actually using the filter to make it sound, muffled when you go in the water. So it kind of emulates that same sound you'd hear in real life. And now see, the great thing about this is this can happen wherever you put it. Alright, and that's it for this tutorial. I know this one had a lot of stuff here, but essentially that's what I was doing, and everything was pretty much the same. Just transitioning and jumping to different things, cueing the winning and losing, and transitioning to the underwater sound using a cutoff filter. And I think that's pretty much it. It's not too tricky, so I hope this helped. And until next time, thanks.